Good evening. What a treat to be here. Leanne and I have both been pinching ourselves all day and all. I guess what I wanted to start with was just saying that this is really the culmination of a lifelong dream. I actually was encouraged to become a writer in college, and I was afraid of it because it seemed too hard. So I went to law school instead. And why that was not as hard as being a writer, I'm not totally sure. But in the process of writing this book, I discovered that writing a book is a lot like owning a racehorse. You have to invest 2, 3, 4 years of your life before you know what you've got. And so it's a big risk, but this was such a joyful risk. I think that that having written the book, for me, was sort of like having a 2-year-old that you raised and bred and have them break their maiden on the track. I mean, that for just writing it itself is a huge feeling of accomplishment. And then to have it do as well as it did, this book sold 24,000 copies in the first 6 months. Who knew? I mean, but that's like having your horse win a stakes race, I think. Then to be, able to, which I've been able to do, tour all over the country, meet fans, talk to people who love the horse, who break down in tears in front of us. To me, that's almost like, I was thinking, what was that like? Maybe winning a G1, a Grade 1 stakes, But being in this competition with these amazing ladies, Mary Jean Wall with her great history and lore, and boy, the poetry and imagination of Jamie Gordon. To me, this is like running in the Kentucky Derby. This is like the height of the culmination of, this is truly an honor. But before I go any further, I really want to thank a few people, because this book, Leanne is going to talk a little bit about how we collaborated and how we got together. But this book is truly, a history of my family, my grandfather's farm, but it's also a history of why he loved horses so much and why Mom was so in love with his dream that she wanted to pick up the reins where he left them, and forgive the pun, and and make it happen, fulfill his dreams of winning the Kentucky Derby, breeding a great horse, and heaven knows she did much more. First of all, I have to thank Wayne, who is more than our publisher. He has worked with Leanne on several other books, and he was part of the team from the beginning as our photographer and sort of our creative leader. We didn't want to have him be the publisher. We tried to get published all over the country, and actually a lot of folks said no, because this book can't fit a niche. It's not a biography, it's not a history, it's not really, they didn't know what to do with it. And then with all the pictures, it's not quite a coffee table book, but yes, it is. So nobody wanted to publish it. They thought it was, sort of people market by niche, and it had no niche. Except that we knew that there was a huge niche of horse lovers, and that proved to be the people who wanted our book. But also, he kept the spirits going. He was also the one who selected the cover, and I think that was a stroke of genius. Mom, of course, Mom was not very sure she wanted to support this project in the beginning. I mean, she was always, as a mother, supportive, but as the owner of Secretariat and the Mark Secretariat and his legacy, she really wasn't sure until she'd read several drafts, and then she went, well, I guess I could let you have the pictures. And then, well, I guess you can interview me some more. And then, well, okay, yeah, this is good. And that was huge, because she doesn't give out praise easily. But also, she proved it even. I mean, she got really involved by the end and really enjoyed the process and working on it, working with Leanne and Wayne. I also have to thank Ed Bowman, who is here, who was our very kind Ed. If people, I think everyone here knows Ed, but who was kind enough to be our not exactly fact checker. He read it both for content and also for facts, and that was tremendously helpful to make sure we didn't screw up in terms of horse racing lore and details. Our husbands supported us for 3 years each. That was huge. We couldn't have done it without them. And then the last person I want to thank is a Louisville-born, our designer, our graphic artist, is a fantastic woman. She lives in Virginia, and she is but she's loved horses all her life, and the Derby she missed was 1973, which is really a shame. But the other thing is, I just want to say what I learned from writing this book, because I think every book teaches you something, or every great project that you do teaches you something. And the first one was that sitting down at that blank screen is terrifying. And it's also painful, but it's only by digging deep that you generate the passion that makes the words sing. And that's something, I think that's why I went to law school instead of becoming a writer. I was afraid of digging deep. Well, I feel great that I have managed to learn how to do that. The other thing is, I really realized that we are products of our geography and history. That's not news. But the places we lived, as well as the people who brought us forth, really, really say a lot about who we are and our choices we make. And as a young woman, of course, I thought it was all irrelevant. But as an older woman, I've really understood how much I am the product of the things that came before me. And researching biography and history is completely a journey of self-discovery. And as well as a great treasure hunt. It's so much fun. I discovered, for example, that my Confederate roots run just as deep as my Yankee roots. Being a Westerner in Colorado, I thought I was kind of immune to the whole thing. And that I came from slaveholders as well as abolitionists. That was important for me to learn and to try to come to terms with. Also, that legacy of conflict is still running under the green grass that we walk on. And whether here in the, part of Kentucky was the South at that point, as well as in Colorado, where in the dusty fields I walked through. But the other thing we all learned is that it really takes a village to raise a champion, whether it's an animal or a human. It really takes a village. And the village that I discovered through writing about this book consisted of passionate, good, hardworking people working for a boss, either my grandfather or my mother or previously the previous owners of the meadow, who respected their workers and viewed them as a team, relied on them, gave them credit for what they did, and shared the profits. At least Granddaddy did. When the horses would win, he'd give everybody a week's pay, which was great. But finally, I learned that even though great good fortune, i.e., having an amazing horse like Secretariat, seems like it comes out of the blue, what I really discovered in Granddaddy's and Mom's case is that it takes a combination of passion, vision, determination, risk-taking, and hard work to open that door to allow luck to walk in. Thank you.